My name is Arnie Kander. I'm the Vice President of Performance and Wellness with the Orlando Magic professional basketball team. Degree in physical therapy, actually trained as a classical dancer that led me to go to PT school and then on to the NBA. Way back in the early 90s, started using a unit. Again, in pro sports, we have to see immediate outcome, right? If something takes days to have outcomes, you'll lose an athlete and success right off the bat. Came off a knee injury. If I remember correctly, it was a grade 1 MCL. We used the combination of pain management with some of the stuff with knee for swelling. Within 2 or 3 days back on the court, everything went perfect, and so I was hooked. It can't be complicated. I mean, I've seen every modality that's out there. The thing in pro sports, it has to be effective, quick, reproducible, something that you could do over and over again. Because of the high and low frequency, you can control pain, you can control swelling, you can control lymphatic stuff, which is part of the swelling mechanism. But also for me, I'm a big let the athlete move. So again, we're enhancing the things that the H-Wave actually does. Use it all the time. Like, use it as often as possible. Again, I've seen such incredible outcome with the H-Wave. So whether it's post-surgical, whether it's injury, whether it's small, moderate, hopefully nothing severe with an injury, there's something to gain from the H-Wave, from the pain component of it, in addition to what it does from the lymphatic system and swelling. To get a person to be able to move normally is kind of the route, right? It's the key. Because if somebody's hobbling around, whether it's an ankle sprain, whether it's a low-grade knee injury, once we can get them walking in an efficient pattern, then it's easy to get them to the next steps of movement, to get them back onto the court. And it's funny when you tell people someone with a grade 2 ankle sprain can come back in 4 days. When you describe what a grade 2 ankle sprain is, they're like, 4 days. And I'm like, yes. Well, a big part of that is actually using the H-Wave. The high and low frequency, super easy and effective. Easy just means it's easy for us to use, easy for the athlete. So we can give it to them. They could take it back to their room. Often athletes will use this on flights. They'll use it when they get to the hotel room. We've used it post-surgically, where the athlete has it immediately coming out of surgery, and we're beginning the healing mechanism from what just occurred. Do it. I would say that simply and easy. And the reason for it is you want to have success, right? You want to have a long career in this business. Sometimes we try so many different things, and I'll come back and say, did you have success with that? And say, well, a little bit. I said, but you can have a lot with this device. I strongly recommend, whether you're a young PT, a young trainer, been doing it for a long time, if you use it more. If you haven't used it, investigate and try it. So what's really interesting, it helps current players, but what I love is when former players, right? So I used to, back in our 04 championship, but for that whole run, H-Wave was a big part of when players were minor injuries post-game, because you're in the playoffs, and when you're in the finals, you're gonna have what I call micro injuries. We were the team that went all the way through, and we did not have a player miss a game. Super, super important. I credit a lot of that to the H-Wave. Was used pre-game, was used post-game, was used at homes. And as I said, those same athletes are now calling and saying, what was the name of that device again? And then I'll say H-Wave, make sure you get one. And now they're continuing. These are guys 20 years later still using an H-Wave. Yeah, I've seen it with not even in the basketball world. So I've actually seen interesting musicians, right? So back in Detroit, we had like Pine Knob, which was also called DTE. We had the Palace, we had Meadowbrook, and the musicians would come through and I would treat them. So you forget a drummer has a lot of wrist injuries and a lot of elbow injuries, and a singer will often have various shoulder and neck injuries that we treat. So the H-Wave was a huge part of the music scene that most would never know about. Some of the greatest songs have probably been influenced by H-Wave because, again, a singer can't go out there with pain, being stressed, and try to produce this beautiful sound. A drummer can't do what they do when they're dealing with epicondylitis and all sorts of various injuries. So it's had huge impact at multiple levels. I think what I'd like to share about H-Wave is proof is in the pudding, right? Like there are things people have used for 4 or 5 years. I've used it for 30 years. And so to see something that continues to, nothing's been changed. Like a lot of times something's new and improved. It never needed to be new or improved because it was always great from the moment I've used it. And that to me is what's most important, right? You're going to change people's lives. And you forget half of what we do with athletes is there's a huge psycho-emotional component, right, to what an athlete's dealing with. So pain's not fun. Having injuries not fun. Us being able to give them a modality that actually calms them down. They can start to feel that this is doing something here. It's changing something, and they have trust and confidence in it. That's sometimes the biggest game changer for us, is not just getting them back to play, but getting them to trust something, getting them to believe in something. And that's a huge part that most of us never really talk about. As we're using it and they're gaining this trust and confidence, there's nothing better. To this day, still talk with athletes about that device, right? It's always, what was that device? I'll say, oh yeah, that was the H-Wave. And they're like, wow, that was such a game changer for us back in Detroit. And again, I can't say enough about it.